Voldemort. Voldemort is the main antagonist of the Harry Potter franchise, a soul-splintered dark wizard whose fear of death transformed him into a hollow shell of hatred. Born Tom Riddle, he rejected his filthy Muggle heritage to become the self-proclaimed Dark Lord. Voldemort is cold, calculating, and pathologically narcissistic, viewing love as weakness and death as humiliation. His arsenal includes mastery of unforgivable curses, flight without aid, and pseudo-immortality through his Horcruxes, literal soul fragments created through murder. The depth of his depravity reveals itself in his willingness to target children, attempting to murder a baby based on prophecy, then hunting a teenager for years because his fragile ego couldn't handle defeat. His utter detachment was evident when he casually ordered Cedric Diggory's death with a dismissive "kill the spare." Despite gathering Death Eater followers, he had zero loyalty, torturing and killing supporters who disappointed him. Voldemort represents the emptiness of pursuing power at any cost. In his quest for immortality, he lost everything that makes life worth living. Fittingly, his death was undignified and unremarkable, the final whimper of a man who feared obscurity above all else. There is no good in evil, there is only power, and those too weak to seek it. Sauron. Sauron is the primary antagonist of The Lord of the Rings, an unseen force of corruption who conquers not through direct violence but through seduction, patience, and erosion of will. Originally a Maya spirit serving under Morgoth, Sauron outlasted his master to become Middle-earth's greatest threat. Unlike typical villains who attack head-on, Sauron's true strength lies in manipulation from the shadows. He spent centuries corrupting elves by disguising himself as Anatar, Lord of Gifts, helping forge rings of power while secretly creating the One Ring to control them all. The true horror of Sauron stems from his cosmic patience, thinking in centuries, not moments, corrupting entire bloodlines to achieve his goals. His malice transcends his physical form, living on in his artifacts and the doubts he plants in the minds of enemies. His capacity for corruption allows the mere possession of his ring to gradually turn even the purest heart toward evil, transforming 9 human kings into the Nazgul, not through force but by offering power and watching greed do the rest. One ring to rule them all, one ring to find them, one ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them. Michael Myers. Michael Myers is the relentless killer from the Halloween franchise, an empty shell in a mask driven by nothing but silent, unstoppable malice. After murdering his sister at age 6, he spent 15 years in a psychiatric facility before escaping to terrorize his hometown on Halloween night. The nightmare of Myers stems from his complete absence of motive or personality. Dr. Loomis discovered there was nothing inside him. No reason, no conscience, no understanding, even the most rudimentary sense of life or death, good or evil, right or wrong. He's not seeking revenge, money, or pleasure. He's simply the embodiment of senseless violence. His inhuman qualities manifest as superhuman strength, near immortality, and an uncanny knowledge of his victims' locations. Despite being repeatedly shot, stabbed, burned, and blown up, he always returns, walking at the same unhurried pace toward his next victim. Myers represents pure, purposeless evil, a force of nature rather than a person. He doesn't speak, doesn't reason, doesn't negotiate. He's the silent scream behind every creaking floorboard, the boogeyman made flesh, the thing waiting in the darkness beyond rational explanation. The Babadook. The Babadook is the manifestation of grief and denial from the film of the same name, a nightmare born from repressed trauma that feeds on negative emotions. Appearing first in a disturbing children's book, the monster grows more powerful as its victim's mental state deteriorates. The creature's insidious nature comes not from external attacks, but invasion from within. It symbolizes how unacknowledged darkness, grief, depression, rage gains power when suppressed. The more its victims resist acknowledging it, the stronger it becomes. Its most disturbing quality is how it weaponizes love, turning maternal protection into potential violence. When it possesses Amelia, nearly driving her to kill her own son, we witness the ultimate perversion of the mother-child bond. The Babadook delivers an uncomfortable truth. Monsters don't disappear when ignored. We can never truly banish our inner demons. We can only learn to live with them, feeding them in controlled ways. If it's in a word, or it's in a look, you can't get rid of the Babadook. Sadako, Anikia Samara. Sadako, or Samara in the American remake, is a vengeful spirit who spreads her curse through media, turning technology into a vector for supernatural infection. Originally a psychic girl murdered and thrown down a well, her rage created a curse that kills anyone who watches her video within 7 days. The technological terror she embodies transforms passive viewing into deadly participation. Her curse operates with viral efficiency. The only way to temporarily save yourself is is to make a copy and show someone else, forcing victims to become complicit in spreading death. Her nightmare manifests through technopathy and reality distortion, culminating in horrific murder through fear alone. Victims' faces frozen in terror after witnessing something the human mind wasn't meant to comprehend. The unnatural, broken way she moves when crawling through screens into the physical world defies human physics and reason. Sadako represents the unstoppable nature of information in the digital age, trauma that reproduces through human curiosity, an endless cycle impossible to contain once released. John Doe. John Doe is the methodical killer from C7N, a self-proclaimed prophet using murder to highlight society's hypocrisy. Unlike typical killers motivated by pleasure, Doe kills with righteous conviction, each murder meticulously planned as a lesson, corresponding to one of the 7 deadly sins. The disturbing core of Doe's character lies in his belief in the righteousness of his actions. He doesn't see himself as a murderer, but as a teacher delivering necessary lessons to a corrupt world. He doesn't kill out of hatred for victims, but out of disgust for what they represent in his twisted moral framework. His abilities are entirely human: exceptional intelligence, meticulous planning, encyclopedic knowledge of theology, and inhuman patience that allowed him to spend over a year preparing his masterwork. His thousands of journals filled with microscopic text reveal not a frenzied mind, but someone with absolute conviction. Doe embodies the terrifying potential of twisted righteousness. How horrific acts can be justified when someone believes they're serving a higher purpose. His final lesson proves that even in defeat, he transforms those who catch him into unwitting accomplices. Wanting people to listen, you can't just tap them on the shoulder anymore. You have to hit them with a sledgehammer. The Thing. The Thing is the shape-shifting alien organism from John Carpenter's film, a parasitic entity that assimilates and perfectly replicates any organism it contacts. Discovered in Antarctica after being frozen for thousands of years, it infiltrates a research station by gradually replacing the crew with perfect copies. The existential dread of the Thing comes through deception rather than direct threat. It doesn't just kill, it erases identities and replaces them with perfect facsimiles. You could be talking to your friend one moment, only to discover they've been a copy for days, waiting for the perfect moment to assimilate you. Its biological nightmare includes molecular-level mimicry, regeneration, independent operation of separated body parts, and strategic intelligence. When partially revealed, human faces split open to reveal alien maws, limbs transform into tentacles, and severed heads sprout legs. The ultimate violation of the human form. The Thing represents the corruption of trust and identity. It forces people to question their closest companions and eventually themselves. It doesn't want to be seen. It wants to become everything you trust. If I was an imitation, a perfect imitation, how would you know if it was really me? Annie Wilkes. Annie Wilkes is the seemingly ordinary villain from Stephen King's Misery, a former nurse whose obsession with fictional characters transforms her into a captor and torturer. When her favorite author Paul Sheldon crashes near her home, she rescues him, only to imprison him when she discovers he killed off her beloved character, Misery Chastain. The everyday terror of Annie stems from her veneer of normalcy. She's not some supernatural entity, she's the helpful neighbor, the dedicated nurse, the loyal fan. Her mood swings from childlike excitement to murderous rage in seconds over perceived slights, to fictional characters she considers more real than actual people. Her ordinary yet devastating capabilities include medical knowledge to keep victims alive while inflicting maximum pain, physical strength enhanced by manic episodes, and a twisted moral code that justifies atrocities. The infamous hobbling scene demonstrates her capacity for calculated violence, performed with the calm precision of someone who has contemplated such punishments extensively. Annie represents toxic fandom and possessive love, how appreciation can warp into ownership. In her world, fiction outranks reality. Her terrifying relatability shows how passion, combined with mental illness and isolation, can become a nightmare of entitlement. I'm your #1 fan.